rock never stops. Man, I want to dive into this topic because look, many times I get different ideas being on X because people will post different things that'll kind of spark my imagination to really talk about a different angle, a different aspect of the Detroit Pistons and NBA offseason. And somebody posted a list of potential forwards, power forwards that the Pistons could potentially go after um, still in this offseason. And when I looked through the list, man, it was like guys like Usman Jang. I mean, that one really made me think about this topic. But they put up Jarris Walker, who I'm actually really interested in. And then it was kind of a bunch of guys that I was kind of like, I don't know if they necessarily move the needle for us. And they still got guys like Chris Boucher and Trey Lyles, but he's 29. And I started thinking to myself, I was like, well, can Bobby Klintman really be our answer? Because if you listen to my channel all year long, I've been saying Bobby Klintman is going to be him for us. I think he's exactly what we're looking for. And yet, I needed to go back. I needed to go back and check. I needed to go back and see, was what I was thinking he was really who he was? And what's funny is the first video that popped up that I ended up referencing was a video of an Australian League content creator who was talking about Bobby Klintman the year he was leaving Wake Forest and heading to go to play in the Australian uh, National Basketball League. Now, here's the thing: different leagues have different tiers, and the Euro League is kind of a collection of multiple leagues in different countries, like say Serbia, Turkey, Spain, France. Um, you have Israel. You have all these different leagues kind of taking place and doing their thing, and then the best of those kind of come together in the Euro League, right? And this where you got the Real Madrid and all these different ones, right? And there's so much talent that comes out of those, so much talent that's playing in those, right? You got like uh Jabari, what's his name? From the Milwaukee Bucks. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Anyways, he used to be really talented. But you got like a Jaleel Okafor. You got guys who used to be first round draft picks, playing in Spain, playing in the Euro League. And then you have the Australian League. The Australian National Basketball League is kind of like, if I'm honest with you, probably that third tier. I wouldn't say, look, they play a pretty high pace style of basketball, and I'm going somewhere with this. It's similar to NBA style G League, where it gets up and down a lot more. It's definitely a bit more physical because international play, you got older guys that can't run and jump as much, so they bump and knock you around a little bit more to slow you down. All that's to say is they still also play a very high IQ brand of basketball. So I would say that's probably like the third tier, but I would say the third tier of national professional basketball leagues is probably split between Australia and the G League. And the G League is actually extremely competitive. It has a whole lot of talent. And more than ever, the NBA utilizes that G League to call guys up to play significant roles. I've mentioned before guys like Sam Merrill, Ty Jerome. These are guys who started off down there, were unrestricted, right? Undrafted. And then they get brought up and then they have these kind of moments that lets GMs know that they might be a player. And then they get signed for a veteran minimum, which for them, you're paying me $4 million a year, $2 million a year, right? That's a whole lot better than 80,000, right? So it's still really good, and comparatively, it's probably one of the better contracts in professional sports. What's good, Shane? But it's to say that probably the G League and Australian League is probably that third tier kind of combined of professional leagues outside of the NBA. So NBA, Euro League, which is kind of dispersed, but when Euro League begins, which is the collection of all these European individual country leagues coming together to compete, that's probably the second tier, right? The second best uh, collective professional play. And then you have Australian G League. When Bobby Klintman was going from Wake Forest to the Australian League, they were excited about him. extremely excited about him. He was considered to be a lottery pick talent, right? At the time, back end of the lottery. They were projecting he was going to be mid to top of the lottery after a year in the Australian League. But if I'm honest with you, most guys who go to the Australian League, there's an adjustment period. Like, yeah, you're getting to play kind of an NBA type of a style, an American type of a style where it's far more up and down, but you also have a learning curve in terms of basketball IQ. You have a learning curve in terms of your ability to play with an increased level of physicality. You know, you're a 18, 19, 20-year old young man, right? Like young man, not a kid. Let's be careful of our language, right? Because these 18, 19-year olds can sign up and join the Army and Marines and kill somebody, right? So, you know, they're grown enough, right? And they're signing multi-million dollar deals, right? So they're men, but they're young. They're young. And for some of us who are a little bit older, we all know about grown man strength, right? I'm a little bit older, right? I remember when I was a young man, I could just fly up and down, but I run into them grown men who just knock me around. You know what I mean? And it didn't matter how much muscle you put on, they just put that I work a 9 to 5 type of arm on you, and it's like, ooh, it moves you a little bit. Well, in the Australian League, they kind of have that level, a level of strength. And Bobi Klintman struggled a little bit. But what I noticed about his game, if I'm honest with you, and this is how I evaluate a lot of players, right? Um, I don't just go with the whole center, power forward, small forward, shooting guard, because that's generally a very kind of overly simplistic form to help the general fan figure out how guys are playing in what position. When I look at the forward position, let's get more specific for Bobi Klintman in this regard, especially when it comes to Tobias Harris as a comparison. Tobias Harris is a forward, but he's a 4-3. He's a 4-3. And let me be specific about that. A 4-3 means that he's a power forward, meaning he typically goes inside out. He's looking to score around and at the rim first, maybe in the post, turn around, you know, jump hook, uh, uh, face up from 8 to 10 feet, right? Try to get their body into you, draw some contact, and then finish around the rim. And then they step outside, maybe knock down a three, right? 18 to 20 footer. That's his game style. But then there's guys who play the forward position who are a 3-4. 3-4 meaning that they are most comfortable starting on the perimeter, getting out in transition, maybe um, getting to the wings, perimeter. Maybe they run a little pick and roll. Maybe they have a little catch and shoot three. Maybe they get a little face up opportunity at the 3 point line and try to take their man off the bounce. Right. So this is a guy typically who is maybe a little bit taller, 6'7, 6'8, 6'9, 6'10, who has more of a perimeter oriented game, but they have the body that's able to play on the interior also. And this is the Jason Tatums, right? Who we all know he grew a little bit in the NBA. So he's going from like 6 to 6'7. All of a sudden he was like 6'8, 6'9, right? And then maybe in the right pair of Nikes, he's at 6'10. Has a good wingspan, put on some weight, 230 pounds, 235 pounds. He's able to physically play the power forward position, but he's an outside in guy. When I look at Bobby Klintman, he's an outside in guy, right? He's not that physical guy who's gonna bang like a, let's say, a B-ball Paul, right? B-ball Paul is, I would call like a 4-5, right? He's in a four's body, but his game style is probably a little bit more suited for the center position because he doesn't necessarily have the perimeter skills, but he could probably guard a power forward decently, and he has enough strength and length, 7'3" wingspan, to be able to guard the center position, especially small ball centers or centers coming off the bench. Understanding this versatility is really important as you look at your team. You have someone like Duran. Duran is a 5. He's not guarding fours, right? So sometimes there's this idea that, well, maybe he can guard a, maybe he can play on the, can he really move his feet well enough? Can he defend the passing lane, recover? Can he laterally? Can he drop his hips? Does he have the mobility, the agility, the quickness? to play another position. And if we're honest, he kind of doesn't. He's a five. He's a 5-5, all the way through. And then next to him, we have Tobias Harris, who's a 4-3. Now it works. Tobias Harris rarely is going to get, you know, 10, 12 rebounds. Every once in a while, he'll surprise you and get 10, maybe 11, but he's generally going to be around that 7, right? Maybe 8 on a solid day. When you look at Bobi Klintman, and my man just had a great point. He said he's rolling with Bobby. What's good, Wheezy? Joe B. He said he's 6'9" without shoes, 212 pounds last year, by the way. This year, he's 6'9" without shoes, 225 pounds going into Summer League. That's a great stat. That's a great stat because the word on the street was he put on some muscle weight, which is great for us because where we need him to play, I think he will get an opportunity to play on the perimeter. I do think that there's an opportunity for him to be a perimeter oriented four, which works well for our system. It works well for us in terms of Isaiah Stewart playing more around the rim, also stepping away and shooting threes. And we'll get to that later about Isaiah Stewart. He needs to get back to that because just last year he was shooting 38% on 4 attempts. Coaching staff believes in him also. That's what's up. I've been looking for some quotes on how they're looking, but I think a lot of those answers are going to be solved on Friday watching the summer league game. All this to say is, I think how we want to play that four position is already naturally what Bobi Klintman does. But as I've said before, we need to see that he has the ability to play physically enough to match up against some of these bigger fours. That means when we play the Knicks again, because let's be 100% honest, the Knicks have retooled. They got new coach, Mike Brown, who's going to have a better offensive system, which means that it's not going to be so heliocentric. So we just can't throw Asar Thompson on Jalen Brunson and just shut him down. So we're going to have to worry about guys moving. And so we're going to need some positional versatility. One thing that Trajan Langdon said he liked about this offseason is we got bigger. We got bigger on our perimeter off the bench, right? Duncan Robinson, Karis LeVert, 6'7", 6'8". We got bigger. And that means something. Paul Reed more than likely is going to be a solid 4 for us. He won't need to play the 5 as much because Isaiah Stewart is already pigeonholed there, and we got Tolu Smith at the 5. So he's probably going to be our safety valve 4 if Bobi Klintman cannot claim those minutes. So when I think about Bobi Klintman's play style, this is where I kind of wanted to go with this. And this is kind of where I'm excited about, but I'm also curious about. Can he be physical enough to play against a Karl Anthony Towns the way Tobias Harris did? Can he be physical enough to play against a Precious Achua? Right? 6'9", 245-pound, athletic, physical forward who can play that. You know, Precious Achua is a real forward because he can play 4-5. He can also play 4-3. Right? He could defend a little bit on that perimeter on the wing while also defending that center position. He has a lot of positional versatility, which I like generally. If Bobi Klintman can show that he has that versatility to play up, meaning play against bigger, stronger guys, because remember, he still also has that 6'11" wingspan, 7-foot wingspan. I think it's a 7-foot wingspan, I'm pretty sure. But if he can rebound, and that is the real metric, that is the real metric. Can he rebound? Can he get you those 8 to 10 rebounds when he plays over 20 minutes? When he gets extended minutes? Because let's be real, one of the reasons why the Detroit Pistons had such a phenomenal year. He has a 6'11" wingspan. Okay, I saw it at 7 feet in some spaces, but 6'11", 7 feet sounds about right. Tolu Smith is just a two-way guy who either gets cut before the season uh, before the season starts or plays only if we have severe injuries. Paul is a third string 5. Ed Robinson. That is a good point. I still like having Tolu Smith in the wings, right? I wouldn't mind signing him to a two-way deal because you want girth. You want girth. But as I was saying before, one of the things that we have to point out is the reason why the Detroit Pistons had such a bounce back year is because we actually had really good health. We actually had really good health, especially from our veterans, which was a major reason why we struggled the past couple of seasons because our veterans were always hurt. We were starting off the season with Boyan Bogdanovic um, um, on the injured list, right? Guys having long extended stretches of injuries. We had Monty Morris, right, who we were excited about, who was from the D, right, was almost out the entire season. Guys like Joe Harris hurt, right? The guys who were supposed to buoy and do what Tim Hardaway Jr. and Malik Beasley did for us last year, be steady, be consistent, right? Right the ship a little bit, make the right plays. We're just non-factors because of injuries. And so having healthy veterans went a long way. But we can't expect that to happen all the time. We can't expect Tobias Harris to play 70 plus games, right? We can't, especially at this point in his career, nor do we necessarily want him to, right? We're not going to be able to expect uh, guys like Karis LeVert, who's perpetually injured, right, to play 70 games, let alone maybe 65, right? So it's to say we're going to need guys who can slide up and down the lineups, guys to fill in. And what I truly hope happens is that Bobi Klintman is able to show in Summer League, one, that he can be that positionally versatile forward for us. Because if I'm honest with you, I don't want Paul Reed to have to be our backup power forward. If Paul Reed is our backup power forward, we've got to go figure out who's going to be that future for us sooner than later. We do. If Bobi Klintman can't come in and prove that he's him for us, if he can't come in and do that, we got to go find that guy. That should be top of the list for us. Same with, if I'm honest, Marcus Sasser. Marcus Sasser can't come in and prove he could be that guard off the bench, that spark plug guy who can come in, give us a surge of energy as a point of attack on defense and get buckets for us, not necessarily facilitate like a Dennis Schroeder did. He needs to come in and just dominate off the bench, a la Peyton Pritchard, TJ McConnell, kill it. Bobi Klintman as well. Now, here's the thing that I'm kind of excited about. What I do like about him is that Bobi Klintman has a lot of skill, a lot of skill. His passing ability uh, is really evolved, is really developed for a forward. He has the ability to sling the ball around, to pass the ball, to find cutters, to make post entry passes, which is it is an unheralded skill, unheralded skill. One of the most frustrating things, especially if you coach at any level and you know basketball, is to see a big man who has a mismatch. Right? Let's say you got Jalen Duren gets down the court and he's got a guard or a wing on him. He's 6'10", 260 pounds. All right. Good footwork, jump hook. He's a jump hook or drop step dunk away. Right. All he needs is the ball. And the guy on the perimeter catches it and sees him, but doesn't know how to do ball fake, bounce pass entry. Can't do a wraparound pass. Can't step through and get the ball inside. And it's a missed easy scoring opportunity. Right? Worst case scenario, Duran catches the ball, gets fouled. He's on the free throw line, shooting over 70%. Bang, bang, knocks down the free throws. They're in foul trouble, right? It's a net positive for us. It's a missed opportunity, right? So when you have a wing player, a forward who can do that, right? Tobias Harris is also someone who can do that. But if you have a 6'10" guy on the perimeter who can do that, that's even more effective because now many times it's that much easier for him because he can just toss it over the top. He can also do things like high low. And if he can continue to be an effective passer, getting the ball inside, creating those easy opportunities, while also being a high level rebounder and being able to play physical enough, that could be a huge advantage for us. Let me get to some of these other comments here. Uh Sorry if I don't get to all of your comments, y'all. Y'all be putting in some great points. I try to get to the ones that I can. I don't know, bro. K the big guard and Asar, a demon on the glass. True, true. I'm gonna be honest, true. But I don't want us to have to play them against bigger lineups. I don't want them guarding Julius Randle, right? If I can get away with it. I don't want to see them having to guard Alperen Şengün against Houston when they got Steven Adams in there. I don't want them having to guard, let's say, if I'm honest, Pascal Siakam, who just really just exploits a lot of smaller guys. Right? There are still some power forwards in the league who know how to take advantage of you when you're smaller. And even though I think Asar Thompson will get stronger, Cade as well, I think he'll get stronger. I'd rather not, especially in a playoff series. I'd rather have somebody who's 6'10", has positional size. So even if those guys are getting stronger and we have that versatility, their versatility, in fact, will allow us to do things like switch, which is also something I'm excited about when it comes to Bobi Klintman. He's already proven when he was going into the Australian League, they saw him as a wing. They saw him as a wing forward at 6'10", athletic, long, lanky, long strides, has good length. They saw him as a Zachary Risachet, right? He wasn't as thin, not as long, and not as good of a shooter, but he had a similar kind of style. He was able to rebound a little bit better, but he had a similar type of a play style where he's playing on the perimeter as a 6'10" guy. That's a distinct advantage for any team. And if we can leverage that, man, imagine being able to switch, right? Let's say we want to go big. We got Cade, Asar, Ron Holland, Bobi Klintman, right? We have that type of size on the perimeter, switching everything, getting into the passing lanes, which, once again, Bobi Klintman actually does a really good job of getting into passing lanes and being able to defend on the perimeter. Now, he sometimes loses sight of his man, right? Which I used to all the time because sometimes, they teach you to either have your arm in the passing lane and you open up your hand to the ball so that it's ready to get a deflection and knock the ball down. And you're looking down your arm, which is supposed to give you the ability to see peripherally your man and the ball. That's what it's that's what's supposed to happen. But every once in a while, you start kind of seeing that the man with the ball really wants to pass it to your man, and so you kind of lose sight of your man for a moment, and then they backdoor you, right? And then they're going behind you, and all of a sudden they get a wide open layup. Bobby Clintman gets caught in that sometimes, but it's to say I think it's something that he can evolve and work on, which he should because he's still young. Right? So I think that he has a lot of tools. He has a lot of tools that I think as we look for any guy to fill in that position, he already has the tools. One of the things that I'm also encouraged about is last summer, he was able to ball out. He looked really good last summer. He had some great flashes that, if we're honest, if he did not have, I think it was like either a calf strain or like a sprained ankle. If he didn't have that injury, I think he goes into that season, he goes into last season on our active roster. I think he's taking Simone Fontecchio's minutes. Or he's on the active roster, playing through training camp, and able to push Fontecchio for minutes. So as Fontecchio was struggling throughout the season, we start seeing Clintman get those minutes. Now, I will say there was a dude who did a video on Bobby Clintman's defensive highlights for last season. They weren't the prettiest. He gets his arms out there in passing lanes for deflections. Right now, I would say he gives good effort, like a Tim Hardaway Jr. gave good effort last season. But by no means, I don't think any of us would consider Tim Hardaway Jr. a good defender, right? Because we saw in the playoffs, he got exploited against Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby. He was kind of a cone. Bobby Klintman, similarly, he kind of has that vibe. Look, in the scheme of things, he can be in the right place doing the right things, but I don't think we're ever going to look at him and be like, oh, he's a plus defender, not like a Jabari Smith Jr., right? But the difference is Jabari Smith Jr., we now know costs 122 million over 5 years, right? He just got extended. That's what he's looking at. Over 25 million a year. Bobby Klintman was a second round draft pick. Right now, we're paying Bobby Klintman, pull it up. Right now, we are playing Bobby Klintman just under 2 million, 1.9 next season. That is a steal. That is a steal. If he can contribute for us, those are the types of contracts that allows us to have depth on our team without having to extend out our salary cap all the way in order to have the requisite depth to make sure that we can make it through the season. As we saw, teams that are not deep don't really have a chance. If you don't have a deep bench, you don't really stand a chance. And so when we're looking at what Bobby Clement could potentially be for us next year, he can be a steal. And I've been saying this. He was our first round draft pick for this year. He fell in the second round because it was a deeper draft. Okay. We look at this year's draft. If Bobby Clement had been in this year's draft, I think he looks better than Rasheer Fleming. I think he looks about as good as what's his name, who was drafted to the Charlotte Hornets. What was his name? Pull it up right here. In the first round, I think he's as good as him. Um, Liam McNeely. I think he's as good as Liam McNeely. Probably a little bit more athletic. Maybe not as consistent, but I think he's as good. Definitely, I think he's better than Noah Pinda. Right? Honestly, I think he's probably better than Will Riley. Right? And this is actually, I mean, side note, I actually hope that more players take advantage of the NIL, right? Ability to make money off their name, image, and likeness. Shout out to LeBron James, who got that passed by Governor Newsom in California. And after they passed it in California, everybody passed that thing because they was like, oh, we is not about to lose all these recruits to California schools because they can make half a million dollars. And so it just spread throughout the whole country. So that's now the standard. Right. Gotta give a shout out to LeBron. He definitely like that changed things, especially all those documentaries that came out around college sports and yeah, shout out. But I hope players like Clintman take advantage of that because hey, I get you were a second round draft pick for the Detroit Pistons last year, but now that we're looking at the landscape of college basketball and the NBA and the G League, if you're a second round pick with that much talent, you probably could have got paid like what's his name? Yaxel Lindenberg, I think that was his name. Right? Who's going to Michigan, I believe. I think he's getting paid like $4 or $5 million right now to come back to college for his senior year. So if Bobby Klintman had done something like that, I think he comes into this year a lottery pick, right? He would have been playing for probably a team that's in the tournament, right? He's back on the big stage, being seen by all the scouts. He's stronger. He's learned from Yaxel Lindenberg. Um, I actually watched play. He actually plays. He's actually really skilled. He's actually really skilled. I don't know if he has the motor to play in the NBA though, but he's really skilled. Uh, and he's definitely an NBA player. Like he's definitely like you just tell he just moves different, sees the game. The game slowed down for him in college. He's able to really impose his will. But I think that he stays another year and he's a first round draft pick. All that's to say is we have a first round draft pick talent level player right now who's in our G League team all last season, who knows our system, knows the expectations of the team, the culture, the playbook. He should have a big summer league. Now, I'm not looking for scoring outbursts. That would be great. I don't even mind if you are inefficient scoring. Take your 18 to 20 shots. Please do. Please. Look, if you're Bobby Clement, fire that thing up. Fire that thing up. Who am I passing to? If it ain't Tolu Smith, maybe Chaz and Ron Holland, what you talking about? What you finna tell? What you gonna tell me? Pass to who? You better fire that thing up. But we also want to see the rest. Show us the rebounding. All right. Get all six of your fouls. We don't care. You foul out after 10. All right. Go for the shot blocks. Play hard. Let us see you out there moving. Let us see you out there moving. Make those passes. Right. Play like not only do you belong here, but that you're probably one of the best players on the court. right? The Detroit Pistons should have one of the best teams on the court, just talent wise. Just talent wise. Between Ron Holland, Chaz Lanier, Bobby Klintman, Tolu Smith, they should literally be walking through Summer League. And Bryce Williams out of Nebraska. You know, Joe B, I'm gonna be honest with you, Joe. I'm gonna be honest with you, Joe. I slipped up. I didn't check him out. I'm gonna pull him up on my YouTube now, my other device here, because I told you I would. I did not get an opportunity to do so. Supposed to check him out for you. You said Bryce Williams out of Nebraska. Okay. I just queued it up right now. Scouting report. Add it. Play in the queue. It's in the queue. What did he average? Let me look at this. Oh shit, he averaged 20 points, 4 rebounds, 2.9 assists, 53% from two, 36.9 from three. Okay, all right. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I'll check him out. You know how tall he is? Was he like 6'2", 6'3"? Or is he bigger? Is he like 6'4", 6'5"? I'd be excited if he was 6'4", 6'5". And can he defend? Right? Can he play in that role? Let me get to some of these comments here though. What do y'all think about Bobby Klintman? Can he be worth us betting on instead of going out and trying to get someone else? Because to me, the pickings are a bit slim. If we want somebody who's ready right now, we can go get Trey Lyles, we can go get Chris Boucher, and they'll be solid for us. He's 6'6". You said Bryce Williams is 6'6"? Almost 6'7" with a 6'11" wingspan. Wow, he reminds me of what's my man's name? Well, I was excited about. What's his name? Jordan something, drafted in the second round. Kobe. What was his name? Kobe Sanders. That's what I was excited about. 6'7" in shoes, 6'11" wingspan. Okay. 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 I like that. I like that. I like that. Um, yeah, no, Kobe Sanders was the one that I was really excited about. Not Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant is a shooter, straight up shooter. Kobe Sanders is like 6'8", 6'9", has really good positional size, but literally plays point forward. Literally plays point forward. Has a lot of that positional versatility. Doesn't necessarily have the wingspan. If he had a bigger wingspan, I think he would have potentially gone into the uh, uh, first round. Yeah, Trey Lyles would be perfect at the four right now. I completely agree. Am I crazy for thinking Siku would be a great fit? I think so now. I think so now. I think Siku Demboya would be perfect for us now after playing in Europe. Now he's not coming in at 18 years old, right, from another country. He's coming in at what, 23 years old, 24, 25. He's got great positional size, 6'8", 7'2" wingspan, athletic, skilled. He's more refined, right? I think he could come in now and just play. Thank you, 24-year-old Siku. I think he could be a player for us. I really do. Um, let me see. Let me get some of these other things here. Coach staff believes in him. With how bare our pantry of picks was coming into last year, they're going to want to at least see if our second rounders can play. 100%. I think B-ball Paul going to get minutes at the 4 or 5. I like the vets around him too. I think so as well. But like I said, best case scenario, B-ball Paul Reed is a breaking case of emergency 4 and our third string 5. Hopefully, but I mean, best case scenario, uh, Tolu Smith comes in summer league and balls out and is like, nope, I'm the third string 5. And Paul Reed is our third string 4. Yeah, yeah. You can't what? Okay, that's fine. That's fine. All right. Yeah, dad life over here. Let me see. I saw somebody put Bobby Clement is a 6'11" wing. 6'11" wing, and that is a great point. That's essentially what he is. 6'11" wing forward for us. I know he's 6'9" without shoes, which means he's probably like 6'10" and a half. But when you think about on the court, what a guy plays like, can he play big like he's 6'11"? Because you know how some guys play bigger than what they really are, right? Asar Thompson, now I'm looking throughout the summer, he looks probably like he's 6'8", 6'9", but he plays like he's 6'11", right? Like if you watched him against the Milwaukee Bucks, uh, if you watch, I miss Hunter, yeah, 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 10 grand, 10 grand. She's a little shorter. Um, but no, if you watched Asar Thompson play against Giannis and the Milwaukee Bucks, he played like he was as big as Giannis, finishing around Giannis, rebounding around Giannis, second chance tip-ins. He did not play like he was worried about Giannis at all, right? He plays really big. Can Bobi Klintman play bigger, right? 6'10" with shoes, 6'10" and a half probably. But can he play like he's 6'11"? Can he grab rebounds? Can he go up there? And I don't know if he has that level of physicality, but we'll see. That is something that we should be paying close attention to in this summer league. Like I said, the number one stat for him is the rebounding. I want to see 8 to 10 to 12 every single game. Throw your weight around, boxing out, clear that glass, and then take the ball up the court. Bring that, because he already has the skill. That's another skill that he has, the ability to grab a rebound and go. Get that rebound, advance it up the court. He has that skill. Can you prove that you can rebound in a crowd, which is a different skill? Some guys can positionally rebound, right? Which means that they can box out for their position and they can secure the rebound against a guy their size, right? But if you put multiple people around them, especially another big, right, they may not get the ball. If you can rebound in a crowd, you show that you got the stick to itiveness, which really is what B-ball Paul is known for. He has that motor. He rebounds in a crowd. He gets those boards with two, three, four guys around him because he's just used that wingspan, that quick jumping ability, his athleticism, and just that doggedness to go after rebounds and rebound what they also call out of area. Can you get the out of area rebounds? Meaning that it doesn't bounce perfectly to you. It's a little bit away from you, but you just find that ball. You keep your eyes locked onto it and you're moving while boxing out and moving your feet, extending your arms, using your athleticism to get that rebound. Can you do that? If Bobi Klintman can do board work for us, serious board work for us like that, with his versatility, his skill level, ability to get out in transition, right? I think that will solidify his role on this active roster. That is the number one skill I'm looking for. Number one skill. Let me see some of these other comments. Hmm. All right. I think Bobby can be the future four if he developed correctly. He definitely does a three type mobility to his game. But if he can keep his body right and keep that 3-point shot, he's ideal for us. I completely agree. Couldn't have said it better myself, PJ. Couldn't have said it better myself. Right. And apparently he's put on weight. He's up to 225 pounds, up from 213 at the beginning of Summer League last year. And that's great sign for us. Right. If he's still moving really well, rebounding well, playing, his skilled game, but he has the physical strength. He has a little bit more confidence in his body to be able to uh, play that four position on the interior while still being skilled. Yo, that's who we want. That's who we want. Some of these other comments here. If ball, let me see. Let me see. Look at this. It's a whole lot of comments, man. Joe B. I think we wind up with two new two-way players after summer league. Bryce Williams, and then they think Dennis or Tolu for a two-way point guard or a five with more stretchability. Potentially, potentially. I'm less. If I'm honest with you, I'm less. Look, it is important we have a strong G League team. We need to have guys in the system who we could pull up. But next season, we know what it's about, as I did in my last live. It's about this core. And then by the time December comes around, it's going to be about let's get ready for the playoffs. So that G League team, cool, right? Break in case of emergency. Who knows? But that's not necessarily the focus of this year. I was hearing a lot of guys didn't want to play for Dwayne Casey. I don't know about that, Sean. I don't know about that. I really haven't heard guys who didn't want to play for Dwayne Casey. Um, if I'm 100% real with you, remember when he came out of Dallas, he was one of the more sought after coaches in the league. Toronto with Masai Ujiri, shout out to Masai, was able to snag him from Dallas, and he built that Toronto team. The Toronto team that would eventually win a championship, right? After he won Coach of the Year and then was fired, and then what's his name? Coach for the Philadelphia 76ers now took over, right? Which I wasn't a big fan of. I don't like doing that to coaches. If you build the team, give him a chance to win it. I think he wins it with Kawhi Leonard no matter what, right? But anyways, Dwayne Casey is known for developing guys. He's known for being able to help guys to grow their game, which he did a great job of when he was in Detroit. He helped Jaden Ivey get those reps as a point guard. No, he's not a point guard. But similar to how they did Bradley Beal or Devin Booker or D Wade and Michael Jordan, they let them as a shooting guard play point guard so they can accelerate their development for their facilitating ability and being able to play make at a high level. They just needed the reps. And then Jalen Duren, he let Jalen Duren shoot as a rookie, right? Monty Williams didn't let him shoot. JB Bickerstaff didn't have him shooting. And now we see him in the offseason, he's shooting again. And we're like, thank you. Thank you. Because if you have a jump shot, you change things for us. Would you rather give Dawson Garcia Tolu spot? 6'11, plays physical, shoots a great ball, and can create his own shot. Look, let's see how Dawson Garcia does in the summer league. Let's see how he does in summer league. Some guys look good in college and other spaces, and then when they get to this style of play, they struggle. I think he'll get his minutes, but let's see. Let's see. And he might be the guy that you have as a two-way player. Um, Maybe he could play alongside Tolu Smith. Because remember, a lot of teams are going big. A lot of teams are going big. And so let's see. If Bobby falls on his face, Joe B falls on his face. I think they get aggressive looking for that stretch big. I think so too. I think so too. Sasser is a young man who should just be set free. Lanier is what Weaver was hoping Sasser would be. Actually, okay, there's a big difference between Sasser and Lanier. Lanier is an off guard. He's a shooter. Sasser's a whole lot more than a shooter. He's a bucket with the ball in his hands and without. High level scorer, but he's 6'2", point of attack defender. Chaz Lanier, I don't think you're ever going to see him as being our point of attack. We don't want him at the point of attack. He has a good wingspan, but he's not necessarily somebody who's going to be in that role. But he can more than take that Tim Hardaway Jr. role. And I think that he'll be great in that type of a setting. Ed Robinson, there's no way that Reed would be the backup for if Bobby isn't ready. Holland gets those minutes. I agree as well. I agree as well. I think if Bobby's not ready, the lineup off the bench at this point in time looks like Sasser, Holland, Levert, Robinson, and Stu. Those five, which is already more than enough. Bobby is trying to edge his way in there to get on that active roster. Doug McMenamin, yo, been busy. Glad to catch you. And man, it's always good to have you, brother. It's always good to have you. You always got good comments and thoughts, man. I always appreciate it. And I definitely always respect and appreciate the super chat and the support for the channel. Shout out to Doug, everybody. Hey, y'all don't realize how encouraging and inspiring it is when folks support your channel. I appreciate this entire community. If I'm honest with y'all, this entire community, I enjoy talking Detroit basketball because the season's long, the year is long. Most of the time, I'm in my head about this stuff. And having a community of people who also want to chop it up, like-minded, or even challenging me on thoughts and being like, man, I don't know, I think this. And it's like, maybe. This is fun for me, man. This is fun, you know. My daughter over there cooking in the kitchen. Hilarious. Hilarious. Let me see. Make sure you're not burning nothing, mommy. Let me see. Uh see, get to some of these comments here. Um, yeah, it's guards nowadays. I can't make entry passes. Hilarious. Seems like Trajan values positional size, defense, which is good to be on the same page as the front office. Very true. Positional size is huge. And when you look at the New York Knicks and that team that we're going to be going up against, we must have positional size, especially off the bench as well. Saying Lanier is better than Sasser is nuts. Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. I thought you were going to say Con Knipple. No, I wasn't going to say Knipple. Knipple is he's a guard, totally different position. Um, Also, if the nearest shot is falling, he has a way easier path to playing time since he's not an absurdly undersized two guard like Sasser. But here's the thing: Chaz Lanier can't ever necessarily run the point. So that's where, like, if Bobi Klintman proves he could rebound and play at a high level and he's shooting, I think what ends up happening is Chaz Lanier gets kind of pushed of the lineup, out of the rotation, and Bobi Klintman gets pushed in. And now you have Duncan Robinson playing at the two, Karis LeVert at the three, Holland at that forward type position, and Bobi Klintman stealing minutes in that 3-4-5 range, right? Shoot, sometimes you might even see Karis LeVert come in as the backup one. I don't know if he can guard at the point of attack, but maybe we do some things with Ivy at the point of attack. It's going to be really interesting. I think that's where uh, JB Bickerstaff is going to be challenged. JB Bickerstaff is really going to be challenged with creating an offensive system that maximizes all this talent being able to play together, because the name of the game is no longer give one guy the ball and let them make all the plays. If that's your offense, they look at you as like, you may not be that good at X's and O's. You may not be the guy that we're looking for. That's honestly how they look at you. That's how they looked at most of these guys who lost their job last year, right? The dude in Memphis giving Ja the ball, saying you go and do it. They're like, yeah, we need to make more use of the rest of the talent. Let's move on. Tom Thibodeau in New York, Jalen Brunson the ball, having to be heliocentric. They had to move on from him. You look at the best coaches in the league, right? Tyronn Lue is the gold standard of coaches. He is by far and has consistently been the best coach in the NBA, probably since maybe Cleveland. Maybe since Cleveland. His X's and O's, adjustments, rotations, lineup changes, his ability to get the most out of guys. I mean, his schemes, he does not get out coached. He is the gold standard of the NBA right now in terms of coaching, which is why Steve Ballmer continues to invest in him. He's like, look, we're going to keep giving you veterans and players who can plug and play. And we're going to keep trying to compete, because to have your coach is a big deal. Most teams do not have their coach. Most teams do not. They don't know if their guy is going to be able to take them into the playoffs. They have no idea. Mommy, you over here doing the most. I thought you're going to be taking your bath. You over here giving me all the background noise. I thought she was going to hop on and say hi to y'all, but she's making her sandwich for, she's 9 years old. She's making her lunches. So I'm super proud of her. Super proud of her. She says hi. She says hi. Let me get some of these questions here. Thoughts? What y'all talking about? Let me see. Trey Lyles would be a great pickup for us, but I'm still interested in Bobi Klintman first. I really hope Clintman works out. Ray Floyd, hope he gets stronger over the summer. It turns out he already put on some weight, 225. It's a big deal. I would love to see Summer League. I keep saying, man, if one of y'all, some of y'all who are younger have opportunity for some career opportunities within professional sports, man, go pitch an idea if you can to the Detroit Pistons. Say, hey, you guys need to do your own live stream channel, not just live stream channel, but you need to have your own channel where you do, like, you know how they do like Hard Knocks or they do Real Training Camp. I think the Brooklyn Nets did a recent channel thing where they went behind the scenes, showed the front office off season, different things like that. players working out in the gym. Teams should just all be doing that all year long, right? I want to get interviews from the third, fourth assistant coach, player development coach. Let me see who's putting in the work. I want to hear firsthand how the G League guys are doing and what you're proud of and what you're looking for. Right? I want to see interviews from the guys at the end of the bench. Right? Let me get some one-on-one interview from Tolu Smith and what it's been like being a two-way player. Uh, uh, um, I would have loved to have gotten a soundbite of Bobi Klintman playing, in the G League, coming up late in the season, being there in the playoff run, not getting a chance to play, but witnessing it. Maybe some live footage of him on the bench cheering his guys on. Like follow the guys on the end of the bench, right? That would be a great job. Like, and I would totally watch it. You know how many fans would probably watch that? It would be so much fun to watch. Get to know the guys. Marcus Sasser. Getting out in the community, doing all the stuff that maybe like Cade doesn't have the time to do because he's tired, right? Sasser dealing with Schroeder coming in and kind of taking those minutes, and how does he keep his head, locked in and stuff like that. Man, Ivy in his rehab process and where his mind is at. Yo, I would love for a team to be tracking that. Real talk, every team should have that. 100%, 100%. There should be a social media team doing that. Hey, my friend, glad I caught you. If you discussed already, do you think Summer League is make or break for Bobi? It is. Summer League is 100% make or break for Bobi Klintman because of what I described in my last video, what the two-part plan is for next season. The two-part plan for next season. The first third of the season, right? October preseason, well, training camp, preseason, early regular season is 100% about let's see if they click. Cade, Ivy, Asar, Duran. Do they click? Ron Holland also, for sure. We know Isaiah Stewart rocks with them. Can they click all together? Can JB Bickerstaff create an offensive system that utilizes their talent and diverse skill sets, positional versatility, skill levels, scoring ability, all that talent that we see in them? Can he put it all together? Can they put it all together? Can you open up the window a little bit, mommy? Okay, that's fine. Because whatever you're cooking, smoking a little bit. You gotta let kids practice cooking. You got to. Well, you've been cooking. Well, close the screen, mommy. You about to let struggle out here. All right. You want to come and say hi? Real quick, super quick, super quick. My little me. All right. We're talking about the Detroit Pistons. You know anything about the Detroit Pistons?
I know it's basketball.
You know it's basketball. All right. Hey, halfway there. Halfway there. All right, kiddo. But yeah, I think it is make or break because the first third of the season is going to be evaluating that team. And then by the All-Star break, we're all in on the playoffs. Same hairstyle, I know, right? I know. I appreciate that, Doug. I appreciate it. Oh, get a treat on me. Oh, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Yeah, one of our favorite things is to grab a treat. Um, and what we do is we watch One Piece. We watch some anime. That's our favorite thing to do. I know you want to watch. I know. But you gotta get your clothes ready for tomorrow. But yeah, I think it is a make or break season for Bobi Klintman. This summer league, he's got to show he's ready. We gotta get her a Cade hoodie. She agrees. She agrees. She agrees for sure. We gotta get her a Cade hoodie. Yeah, or yeah, or LeBron, whichever one. Get some of these other comments here. Let me see. Look today, shot 38% with limited attempts. Yep, few bright spots with the Monty. Yep, Stewart does a lot for us. Yep. Let's get to some of these other. Or they keep trying to make Sasser something he's not. Every coach keeps trying to make him a point guard. He's a bucket. Thank you, Ray. I've been saying that for a minute. Sasser's an off guard. The kid never played point guard at any time. No, he did not. He's a failed. I don't know if he's a failed pick, Ed, because he's forced to do something that is not his game. I don't think he's a failed pick. Look, I'm gonna be honest with you. One of the things that it does do, it's giving him exposure to a way to grow his game and make himself more um desirable across the board. Kiddo, what you doing over there? You know, are you cooking? My kid cooking. All right. I gotta embrace it. I gotta embrace the process. Gotta embrace the process. Um, I don't think he's a failed pick though. I think he's just expanding his game, but he can't expand fast enough to catch up to someone like Dennis Schroeder, right? He wasn't gonna be ready for the playoffs. But I think now with Ivy back, you don't need him to be a point guard. You can let him be a scorer off the bench. You can let him be that spark plug. And I think in that role, he's gonna kill. He's gonna eat. And I think he's going to be better at that role than Chaz will. Though I think Chaz is also great insurance for if there's an injury, right? Knock on wood, right? Because we all know injuries happen. Now we have depth at that shooting guard and positional size. Chaz is also more than just a shooter. The guy is a good defensive and great scorer in general. I believe so as well. Chaz, by the way, said at his intro presser today that while shooting is what he hangs hat on, he knows the secret to success in the NBA is to play defense, and he'll have to start. Yes, Chaz saying he was going to crack the rotation through defense was really relieving too. It's great that he has the mindset. Let's see if he applies it. When he was at Tennessee, word on the street was there was some times there was frustrations from his coach that he wasn't necessarily giving a lot of energy on that end, but some of it was also a byproduct of his role on the team, a really large offensive role. He had kind of stepped back as a defender. I think he'll recognize, and it sounds like what he's saying is he recognizes how he's going to carve out his spot is not by being a go-to scorer. He's going to carve out his spot by locking down on defense. But let's be real, Duncan Robinson is not giving up those minutes. Duncan Robinson, coming from Heat culture, 6'8", knockdown shooter, also has some playmaking ability. Like he's a bigger version of Marcus Sasser right now with more experience. He's played in the NBA Finals twice. Duncan Robinson is locked in to that role. Karis LeVert is locked in, right? Ron Holland needs to ball out in summer league and training camp to say, and I'm that last wing forward guy versus if Bobi Klintman is balling out, right? Because if Bobi Klintman is balling out and Ron is struggling, like you're gonna be splitting minutes, bro. And if you're splitting minutes and we don't know about you, by the time we get to the trade deadline, don't be shocked if you're included in a deal to get somebody who's ready for a playoff push. Because I keep saying, let's say it all together, class. After next season, we are in our championship window. There's no more development. If Sasser was anything like what some of the homers in this chat are trying to make him seem to be, Trajan wouldn't have traded for Schroeder or signed Levert. Well, the thing is, one of the things that I don't quite agree with that. I think that Sasser is a great scorer, not a good scorer. He's a great scorer, NBA level score bucket. Like he's Lou Williams type of level. He's going to come in off the bench and get buckets. We needed a Dennis Schroeder. We looked for a Karis LeVert so we could have depth. So we could have depth, playoff level depth. Guys who can play at a high level. Let's say Cade is getting tired. You want somebody on the wing who can kind of play that role with positional size. Marcus Sasser at 6'2" has a really niche type of space to be in, not necessarily a large role to play. And so he's going to be playing how we need him to. Point of attack, go get buckets. Dennis Schroeder last season was more of a replacement for Jaden Ivey, more so than it was an indication of Marcus Sasser not being what we needed. Even though I do think JB Bickerstaff tried to get him to play in that position as a point guard. Sports Times, true. The people that interview don't ask the right questions a lot of times, though. That is very true, too. But I think if they follow them the whole season, you're going to get a whole lot of content. In regards to my point about I would love for the Pistons to have a channel where they just follow the team all year. I appreciate y'all. Yeah, I love my daughter to death. That's my heart. That's my heart. Uh, hardcore One Piece theory crafters. Yeah, hey, One Piece is one of the dopest animes, and it just has mad episodes. That's just our thing. We just if we're not hanging out, riding bikes, practicing soccer, basketball, we do everything together. Taking the BART up and down the East Bay, stuff like that. We usually come home, stop at a little corner store spot, get a little snack, and we come back and watch a few episodes of One Piece. And then I got have her get to her chores. Um, LeBron will never be better than Jordan. It depends upon on what you're looking for. LeBron over Jordan. Oh, let's go. Yo, I've done a video in the past on that. If you look back in the annals, I've done that debate. I may sometimes you have to update it, but there is a GOAT conversation between Kareem, LeBron, and Jordan. And there's a few others who can be in that because they're all just incredibly different players. Whether it's Bird or Magic, whether it's honestly Tim Duncan, Dream, there is a category of players, Wilt Chamberlain, who are so great, who are so great. They have their own categories. They have their own categories of greatness. And comparing them to one another is just it's just foolish. It's just foolish. They were each dominant. I would say equally dominant. Equally dominant. If they all played at the same time, ain't none of them winning back to back. If they all have, a solid team. But I'll get into that later on. Embrace the process, and then they're cooking you dinner by the time they're yep, see facts, yo. She already be making me she made me breakfast in bed the other day, y'all. Joe Beach made me breakfast in bed. I was like, as a dad, I was like, bro, bro. That's why she gets all the treats. That's why she be able to go into Target with me and be like, get this, get that. I mean, we boycotting Target right now, but it's all to say, she could just buy everything she wants. Um, it was dope. They showed him his name getting called since it missing the draft in the night of the draft. Yeah, I think that was dope too. I think that was really dope. I would have loved to have seen that whole road. I would have loved to have seen them have their channel dedicated to the behind the scenes process of going through the draft, maybe workouts, what some of the assistant coaches are saying about the workouts, what they're looking for, then seeing the draft pick, having some footage there, interviewing him right after, and then showing him, getting introduced, getting into the facilities, like show us the whole thing. I want to see that stuff, right? I'd rather see that than some random other team, you know. Let me see. I don't know why people think Sasser is a bust because he didn't play over Beasley, Cade, and 10-year vet Dennis Schroeder. True. I heard that he and Connect both went to Tennessee. Yep, with a desire to learn defense. Really? But then they got saddled with basically all the offensive load once they got there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's hard to be your team's best scorer and also be a high level defender. It takes a mental mindset to do that. And it's rare. The Kobe, the Jordan, the what would you call it? Ron Artest. There's just certain individuals who are just decided like I'm going to defend. I'm going to defend. Go ahead. Hey. All right, give me a moment. Now just calling me. I gotta get off in a little bit. It's almost also already been over an hour. Yeah, she right. I gotta hurry up. Duncan Robinson got pride, mad pride. Get to these comments. I'm trying to get to many of these comments as I can. He can't expand quick enough because he isn't good enough. Sasser is also not Trajan's guy. That's very true. Chazanier wouldn't be here if Trajan believed in Sasser. No, I don't believe that's necessarily true. Who may I add has not played for three coaches. That is true. Look, let me just put it this way. Mark Sasser and Chazanier are two very different players. I would not compare them at all. At all. At all. Would not compare them at all. Seeing them grab Chazanier is not an indication of what they think about Marcus Sasser. But you are right to say GMs are committed to their guys that they draft because we all know how we talk about them later. right? We look at their draft picks and say, like, if you balled out with your guy, we think you did a good job. If your guy didn't ball out, we don't think you did a good job, right? See, Lou Williams level, that's ridiculous. Sasser is hypothetical scorer who can't see the floor. I don't think nah. Go look at go look at Marcus Sasser's highlights. I wish somebody would just I don't know. I would love for somebody to just do Marcus Sasser passes last year in the half court assists. I saw him make some high level reads, high level reads, high level reads. Um, who Sasser get to play point guard with? Stu, Ron, Tech in the front court. Yeah, okay, yeah, exactly, exactly. Weezy. Like Sasser did not have the most talented bench roster to play with, and playing alongside Malik Beasley, who is a minus defender, who is also kind of a black hole as a shooter, um, wasn't necessarily someone who you can say, uh, is the best running mate for a backcourt player, unless you're passing him the ball, right? He's not giving you back the ball. And I think that that was a huge upgrade when it comes to Duncan Robinson and Karis Levert. Those are two guys who understand winning basketball. That's the big difference between Tim Hardaway Jr. and Malik Beasley. You knew when you gave them the ball, the shot was going up. And when it was dropping, that's a great thing. When it was not, they were unplayable, right? A la the playoffs or some moments throughout the season when they struggled throughout the course of a game, right? If they're not knocking down shots, they're unplayable because they can't make anyone else better. Karis LeVert and Duncan Robinson can make plays for others. So that was also another huge upgrade because those guys plugged into the guys you want taking a lot of the shots, right? Cade, Ivy, Asar, right? Duran. You need to know that if you swing the ball to those guys and they don't have a wide open look, they're not forcing up a shot. They're making a play for somebody else you'd rather be shooting. Shaq is on your Mount Rushmore. Um, yeah, Chad's gonna get that work in camp. No, there is always a welcome to the NBA in training camps. Chaz is gonna knock down shots, but you gonna man having to guard Karis LeVert as a rookie, bro. Uh, Sasser, Ivy, K, Ron, Chaz is gonna struggle. He gonna give effort, but he gonna get that work because the NBA is different, bro. Shaq is on your Mount Rushmore. I might be biased. He would be on mine, but if you had to tell me to choose Shaq or Wilt Chamberlain, I would choose Wilt Chamberlain. Wilt Chamberlain was just different, bro. He was absolutely different. Different. Man, I gotta wrap this up. I'm gonna get to maybe a few more. Okay, I'm almost near the end here. I really hope Kate and Ivy are working out together. I do too. Man, I wish this is the content that I wish the Pistons had their own channel to just follow. Just follow the team. I want to see Kate and Ivy in the Pistons facility working out together with a that third string assistant coach who just sits there in the gym and puts up shots with them. Sees them laughing and joking with each other, building a camaraderie, building that chemistry, right? Like draw us into the storyline of the team throughout the offseason that really has us locked in by the time the season starts, right? This channel loves overreacting or overrating guys that just aren't that good. Who are you talking about? Marcus Sasser? That was such a dad look. Man, I'm such a dad, bro. But I love being a dad. I love being a dad. I tell everybody like being a dad is one of the dopest things in the world, bro. All of my friends who ain't got kids, I'd be like, man, you better get you one of these, man. They fun as hell. As long as you expect and are okay with life changing, it's fun as hell. If you think you're gonna be able to do all the things you used to be able to do, then you're gonna be disappointed. And then you're gonna be looking at the things you can't do instead of the things you can. All right. My daughter keeps me in shape. Right? She keeps me laughing more than ever. All right. Best part of my day, man, especially when they're like age 2 to 4 and then they see you coming from a distance and they just run up to you and they're like, Daddy, man, that's that, bro, bro, you could get fired from work, right? Eviction notice. You see your little kid run up to you and, Daddy, your world is good. Your world is good. Telling y'all, I love being a dad. I'm just saying. Sometimes I just watch my daughter sleep and watch her little stomach rise. She be talking in her sleep. She hella cute. Anyways, let me wrap this. Let me wrap this up. I can always talk about my daughter. Let me see. Doug McMillan, my daughter grew up watching sports with me, even though she is a sweet girl. Yeah, hug that beautiful daughter of yours. I appreciate it. I knew I liked. Ah, that's what's up, Doug. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. Um, Ed Robinson, Marcus has the highlights from what game he was playing against third string guys. Our brother just faced the reality he isn't that good. I think he is really good. I'm gonna be honest. Um, you know what? Go back. Oh, this is what I would challenge you to do. If you have Ed specifically, this is what I would challenge you to do. If you have NBA League Pass, right? You can pay for it like a month at a time if you want. But go back and check games where Marcus Sasser was getting, let's say, 18 or more minutes, 20 more minutes, and watch some of the passes that he makes, especially even as a rookie. As a rookie, I saw him make. He didn't get a lot of minutes as consistent minutes this past year, and I think that this past year they asked him to be so much of a point guard. He he stopped playing his game sometimes. Like he was off and on. Like he was having a hard time, which is really what guys struggle with when they're asked to play out of their position. Uh, they they go between in their brain two different styles of play. I'm a facilitator, playmaker, set the table for my team. I'm a scorer. And they're doing this. And what they're trying to do is combine those two. That's what Cade is able to do, right? That's what the high level point guards are able to do in the league, right? A Dennis Schroeder, he's constantly doing both. And if Schroeder could shoot the three ball as well as Marcus Sasser, he would have been a long time starter, locked in to a team. All that's to say is, I think now Sasser won't have to do this as much, but he still learned. He still learned. Remember, that was only his second season in the league, bro. It's only his second season in the league, trying to evaluate somebody. And he had Monty Williams the first year. Wasn't exactly the best experience. And then has a brand new coach, all that. Yeah, give him a shot. But go back and check, especially in his rookie years, some of the passes he was making. I'm talking about cross court, one handed, hit the opposite corner off the pick and roll, like high level reads. Great job dropping the ball to Duran in the pick and roll. He just makes good reads. And this half court offense, man, I just wish somebody would just do a video of him and just his passing scoring, like getting assists, making reads. He has the skill. He just doesn't have the mindset yet. Doesn't have the mindset. Look into these last comments, and I gotta hop off. It's already been 72 minutes. I appreciate all y'all being in there. We got 22 folks in the chat. Yo, hey, smash the like button for me. It's a little thing, but it's a big thing, right? Little thing, but it's a big thing. You hit the like button, it supports the channel, tells the algorithm that you guys enjoy interactive live chats with me. It ensures that you get notified when I go live because sometimes I go live maybe twice a day, maybe once. Maybe I might skip a couple days, right? Wait for some inspiration because I like to have good energy on here. And then you get notified. But if you didn't hit like, they don't know that you enjoy the channel. So you watching something else and you missing the live, and we could be chopping it up. You feel me? Let me see. Disagree with me. I appreciate when y'all disagree with me. Um, on Sasser somewhat frequently, but Sasser is definitely good at basketball. He's just short. I know. 6'2". 6'2". Good on defense, good creating his own shot. He's just the size of a point guard and isn't a point guard. That was the Lou Williams. That was the Lou Williams comment. That he is a shooting guard in a point guard's body. But he does defend the point guard position well, which is why he can still be effective. If he couldn't defend the point guard position, that would be more of an indictment. Because then you have what's his name? The lefty from the New York Knicks. I forgot his name. He was on the Phoenix Suns the previous year. He can't defend the point guard position. All right. All right. I would hate this because it's Indiana, but he needs to go to Indiana. I think they have a 6.665. Will allow him to play. I think he's going to do well wherever he goes. Ed Robinson, I'll give Sasser a shot when a coach does. Ooh, that's real as hell. That that's a real ass statement, man. I'm gonna leave it there on that. I'm gonna leave it there on that. Yo, I appreciate all of y'all. It's your man 100 grand Ross with the Rock Never Stops. we'll see what Bobi Klintman does this summer league. Can he rebound? He's got that extra weight. Let's see what he does. Um, it's going to be a good summer league. We're going to have one of the more talented rosters. If I don't come on before Friday, I'm definitely coming on after the game because I think it's going to be something to talk about what we see. Even though you're not looking for a whole lot of scoring, we're not going to get caught up in the hype. We're looking for specific things, how guys are playing, their confidence, their ability to show that they're ahead of the G League guys who may not be NBA players yet. But hey, I digress. Yo, I really enjoyed this live. I hope you did too. If you did, smash the like button for me. Hit subscribe and the bell for notifications. I'm looking forward to seeing y'all again. And I'm out. Peace.